this is the story about how my transmission got turned inside out and blown all over the track. All right, this is very bad and it's going to be parsed.
Perfect.
So I don't know if you guys noticed what just happened in the first clip. If you see the black cloud that pops behind my car, that's metallic pieces of my transmission kind of getting blown everywhere. I knew the second that happened that this was going to be very expensive to fix. This is not good. Problem analysis 1. There's only 2 pedals there. The other one, no return to home. Problem number 2, we have a separation of the high-speed fairing. All right guys, so what had happened was, give you a little bit of insight here. This thing is pretty dang blown up, man. There's no longer any bell housing attached to this transmission. Look, you can see literally all the way around this thing. And you can just spin it. It's not attached anymore. The only thing holding this thing in is the trans cross member and the drive shaft. Really just the trans cross member. So what else did we damage? Looks like a piece of the transmission shot out, did that to one of the frame runners. See that dent? That sucks kind of, but I mean, that's not really that vital. Hit this harness. I don't believe that it hurt that harness. That's why I felt it right up here. The big dent in the trans tunnel. That's not good. That's why I felt it, and I'm lucky it didn't penetrate through and try to come get me. Obviously our clutch blew up. Our flywheel bolts, or clutch bolts, where they go into the aluminum flywheel. See how they all broke out the side? All of them. That's kind of the failure point on this car. So what had happened was, I was in 3rd gear on the track that you kind of seen on the clip. It was already a bad run, started spinning in 1st, 2nd. Got back in it in 3rd, started spinning kind of in the top of 3rd, I think, or I was just getting it, I don't really remember. I shifted into 4th at the top of 3rd. It was already a bad run, it wasn't going to be a good time. I was only doing like 90 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, something like that. As soon as I went to 4th, clutch went down, clutch didn't come back up, but all this is in like a second, right? And then I felt basically like a car wreck from under my car. Left foot, which on a right-hand drive car is towards the tunnel. So that's where that clutch exploded, knocked that pan in. I'm lucky that stuff did not go through. That would have been really bad. Could have killed me, could have killed anybody. Pieces did go all over the crowd, or the people that were on the sideline. And they were kind, and a lot of them did come ask me if I was okay, because they said, man, that stuff was pelting the sidewalls. We heard it, all that crap. So we got that. Whenever I shifted, clutch went down, boom. And then I was like, oh God, pulled off the lane real quick. Pieces everywhere. I looked behind me and I heard pieces just falling down of my transmission. And I guess it was the flywheel. The flywheel and clutch pack on, or the clutch on this car setup was only really good for about 600. I was pushing that to the wheel. And then on top of that, that car was on close to 30 pounds that day, and it got tuned. Well, it made 600 about on 21 pounds. So we were probably making close to 700 crank. I mean, could be a little more crank, could be 700 at the tire. So the flywheel just couldn't handle it, I guess, anymore. And then the bolts flew out the side, broke out the side of the aluminum flywheel, and it just couldn't take it anymore. Clutch flattened like a pancake under the forces, like centrifugal force, blew the bell housing off of it. But the problem is basically getting a trans for this thing is so hard. It damaged my exhaust. I got to rebuild my full exhaust. I made this exhaust by hand, so I got to rebuild that. So yeah, redo the exhaust, fix the side skirt, fix the transmission, obviously, the wiring, a couple other things. And then the reason that I was kind of antsy to try to get it on that pull was I ran the car 7 times that day, and that was the second pull where it actually let me take a full rip on 30 psi without couplers popping off, because my intercooler job here is not the worst. I mean, it's got pie cuts and stuff. It's okay. What's the problem is these. So normally I'm big on deleting those and only running 4 on this car. I had to run 5 because of the size of the hole that I put over here through the actual like the body here. But what I'm gonna do is I got like the Vibrant style, they're off-brand, but I got the Vibrant style O-ring V-band clamps for my intercooler. Those things are not popping off anymore. I'm done with that. That was hell. I'll spend the money to just let it hopefully go away. So this is a transmission. You know, I know it says that. I can read Japanese. It has nothing to do with the fact that it says transmission under. So this is a transmission out of a 98 R34 GTT, I believe. Not the GTR, of course, because they're all-wheel drive. This is out of an RB25 car, rear-wheel drive setup, just like what we had on the R33 here. This is pretty much the exact same transmission that I had. The only thing is, I don't know if the bell housing is identical as far as the strengthening, the fins and all that stuff, but I do believe it is. I just don't have a bell housing anymore pretty much on mine, but I believe they're identical. This is way different than your traditional 20 box that came in R32s. Don't want one of those on your 25, it's not gonna last very long. This one right here, I believe it also has updated synchros. They're a little bit better in the R34s. That's kind of a mixed thing that the Aussies say. I want to say maybe the gear ratios are a little different, but a lot of this is like speculation. We do need to look it up to make sure, but I'm just going off of what I've read on a lot of Aussie forums and stuff like that, because not a lot of people in the States have had R33s long enough to, especially GTSTs, to explode the transmissions off of them, and then you got to find a replacement. This trans goes for like 1600 MSRP. I work for Nissan. I did get a steal on mine, but you can find better deals and everything online, okay? But they do sell this transmission used for like 1600, so buyer beware. Just because you think they're not making any new ones does not mean they're not, and don't pay that high of a price for just a used one off of eBay. All right, guys, but the main difference between the 25 or the R33 and R34 is right there. This is a pull style clutch. If your slave cylinder is mounted on the left side, if slave's mounted on that, it pushes that fork, which pivots, which pushes this back, which would be a pull clutch. We don't need that. We want a push clutch. But as you can see, they already have the spot. Drill and tap these guys, and then we're gonna swap the front cover with one that I ordered with a different pivot ball, and then an SR20 arm, like an SR20 shift fork or clutch fork, and that will make it a push style. But those parts don't get here until later this week. Alrighty, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate the views as always. Thank you for subscribing. I've noticed a big increase in subscribers as per daily. The subscriber number just keeps going up, and I appreciate it. It's definitely motivating to keep making videos. And other than that, guys, just have a good day. I hope everybody's staying safe during this stuff, and I'm looking forward to getting this car back on the road because I miss it a lot, and we can get on forward with other projects, because fixing this thing all the time kind of sucks. So we need to fix it good enough to where hopefully it'll last longer for a while, kind of like the 240 was like super dialed in. So it'll get there. That happens with any project car. But thank you, guys.